I am delighted to be joined by Fleur Wouterse, the Deputy Director for the Office of Emergencies and Resilience for the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. Miss Wouterse, welcome.
Thank you.
So I'd like to ask you first, you're the Deputy Director of the Office of Emergencies and Resilience for the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. Could you tell us about the Food and Agricultural Organization and how it builds resilience?
Yes, so FAO is the United Nations specialized agency that leads international efforts to defeat hunger. Our goal is to achieve food security for all and make sure that people have regular access to enough high-quality food to lead active, healthy lives. And one way in which we do this is by making agriculture more productive and sustainable. And this is necessary. Humanitarian needs, including acute food insecurity, the type of food insecurity that is driven by shocks, has been unacceptably high for years. And equally worrying is that crises related to food insecurity are intensifying and becoming more protracted. In other words, the severity of hunger and malnutrition that people face is worsening, and their experience of these conditions lasts longer. So to sustainably achieve food security and build more resilient food systems in situations of complex and protracted food crisis, a mix of humanitarian, development, and peace efforts is required. And since food insecurity is mostly still a rural phenomenon, FAO brings this vast technical expertise and decades of experience working in rural areas of countries across the world to help people in crises meet their immediate needs, recover from shocks, and become more resilient in the long run through helping them produce and access food. This includes interventions that help smallholder farmers be better prepared for potential disasters, be ready to act early and fast when alerts signal an upcoming shock, and critically, by supporting adaptation to a changing climate. So what this looks like in practice depends a little bit on the context. For example, in Somalia, during the protracted drought, FAO provided livestock feed to keep animals alive and productive. This was vitally important, as most people affected by the drought were livestock owners, and the milk produced was a vital source of nutrition for children. And right now, FAO is rolling out a large program to anticipate potential crises related to the El Niño phenomenon, which includes everything from helping communities to prepare for floods, by shoring up river embankments, providing raised storage for food and seeds, and providing seeds and other inputs for flood recession planting. And these are just a few examples, of course.
Thank you, Flo. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to ask you, Fleur, what does World Food Day mean to you in the context of the resilience work that you carry out?
So to me, World Food Day is really a global call for action to end hunger and transform agri-food systems. It is the anniversary of FAO and among the UN's most celebrated days, raising awareness in all regions. So what we've seen is that hundreds of events and outreach activities across more than 150 countries bring together the different stakeholders: governments, municipalities, businesses, civil society organizations, the media, the public, youngsters. And so this is FAO's chance to really connect, share, relate, and mobilize across geographic, political, economic, social, and cultural divides. And food is something that everyone can relate to. Not only is it our sustenance, but also a livelihood for many. And sometimes we tend to forget that agriculture is such a vital sector for all of us. Nobody should go without food, and sustainable, healthy diets should be available and affordable to all. And 2023 has got a special theme. It is Water's Life, Water's Food, Leave No One Behind. And so this year's World Food Day spotlights how water is the foundation of our food. The day underlines the struggle of 2.4 billion people in water-stressed countries and 600 million people reliant on aquatic food systems who face pollution, ecosystem degradation, and climate change impacts. As agriculture uses over 70% of the fresh water available to us, we also need to look at ways to produce more food and other agricultural products with less water. And the theme of water is especially relevant in food crisis contexts, where water access or scarcity is a major factor in driving people into acute needs. And we've probably noticed how 2023 has broken all existing records for the highest temperatures recorded on our planet and all kinds of extreme events related to the climate. As this climate crisis unfolds further, the frequency and intensity of climate-related disasters is also expected to increase, inflicting a heavy toll on communities and livelihoods across the world. And agriculture is one of the most highly exposed and vulnerable sectors in the context of disaster risk, given its heavy dependence on natural resources and climate conditions. Recurrent disasters have the potential to erode gains in food security and undermine the sustainability of agri-food systems. And this is why investing in building resilience is so critical.
Thank you. Thank you, Fleur. So in terms of building resilience around food, what are some of the opportunities that you've identified?
So agriculture is the primary source of food and offers enormous opportunities for resilience. For example, natural resources, including water, are a growing source of conflict and tensions between and within communities. So issues over who has access, when and to what degree can ignite new conflicts or reignite old tensions. But of course, the solution is then also there in finding a way to kind of try to resolve these conflicts around natural resources. And what we've seen is that these water conflicts, for example, triggered by competing demands, have significantly increased worldwide over the last decade, with Asia as a hotspot. So between 2009 and 2019, there were 388 conflicts on the continent as compared to only 111 between 2000 and 2009. So agriculture can provide a pathway towards local level peace among communities where tensions may be high. For example, by providing an entry point for conversations among different community members or across communities. In Somalia, FAO has been working with young people, including young women, to enable them to resolve conflicts around natural resources, especially around water. In this region of Somalia, concrete solutions were really found to be key. So a working food bridge was found to bring about peace, whereas an impassable river is associated with increased divide. So you see really here, what is key is that the conflicts of natural resources are resolved around concrete solutions. And so to achieve these solutions and move beyond short-term provision of humanitarian aid, interventions need to build the self-reliance and economic inclusion of long-term forcibly displaced people. In Uganda and Kenya, for example, FAO, supported by the IKEA Foundation through to 2024, is building inclusive value chains for high-value commodities, passion fruit and groundnuts, by providing refugees and host communities with training and inputs, facilitating the creation of producer cooperatives, which can negotiate prices, for example, and link these groups to private sector actors. And what is interesting to note is that over 1/3 of the project beneficiaries in Uganda were youngsters, aged between 19 and 34, which is critical in a context where 60% of refugees are below the age of 18 and employment opportunities in the refugee settlements are very scarce. As it engages both host and refugee farmers working together constructively and share decision-making, this model also helps rebuild social cohesion and fosters economic inclusion. Another opportunity in the agricultural sector that is critical for food security in crisis or at-risk countries is anticipatory action. Technology already offers an enormous opportunity to alert communities and governments to upcoming crises. For smallholder farmers, being able to timely apply anticipatory actions due to their access to early warning alerts can make a difference between a crisis and a catastrophe. And these are just two opportunities, but there are many, many more.
Okay, thank you, Fleur. So we've got a couple of minutes left and I've got a few questions, two more questions that I'd love to ask you, but we've got a few minutes. So let me quickly ask you, in order for humanity to move forward, in a constructive and positive way, what steps would you like to see taken by the global community to enhance resilience around food?
First and foremost is investment in resilience. So resilience building often falls a little bit between the development and humanitarian funding mechanisms and tends to receive far less resources than is needed. And fragile settings, where there are often protracted and complex crises, generally receive the least resilience investments. While investments in resilience building can appear costly at the beginning, they have the potential to save billions of dollars in humanitarian assistance and to safeguard billions of dollars in decades of investment in development. So we need governments, banks, and the private sector to become a little less risk averse and take a chance to enable real change in fragile contexts. And that is also why we're looking forward to this year's COP, where we anticipate significant discussions and hopefully practical solutions to ensure that climate financing goes to frontline countries, including those with conflicts and high humanitarian needs. Second, food security needs to return to the top of the political agenda at international and national levels. Without political will to move forward and implement solutions, we cannot make the leap needed to secure real change at the local level. Third, we should all be aware of our own role in building resilient food systems, including how we use or waste food and water resources.
Incredible, Fleur, to hear all of this information. I mean, what an amazing job you have, and what incredible work the World Food Programme does. I mean, I've seen it firsthand over the last 24 years in all sorts of situations. So, I just want to say thank you and congratulations to everything that you're doing for those who are hungry. The work is incredible. But anyway, sorry, I just felt I had to say that. So look, how can people watching this interview, Fleur, who want to support the work of the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, where do they find out more information about yourselves?
Yeah, so FAO is a member organization, and meaning that governments are responsible for deciding on priorities and funding. So you can remind your representatives of the importance of agriculture and agri-food systems in creating a more prosperous and peaceful future, where resources are used much more effectively for the benefit of all. So we are not directly funded by the public, but rely on governments and other agencies, including the international finance institutes, for resources. However, we still need your advocacy on behalf of the world's smallholder farmers. Further information on the work of FAO can be found on our website at fao.org. Also, you can regularly check the In Action page, which posts stories of success on the ground. FAO is also on social media, including on Instagram, and we have several accounts on X, formerly known as Twitter, including our emergencies account, which I would encourage your listeners to follow.
Okay, thank you so much, Fleur, for your inspiring words and for the participation in World Food Day Live 2023. We wish you all the best with your remarkable work. As I said, the work of FAO and the work of WFP is absolutely extraordinary. We know that you're leading global celebrations today, and we hope that at Peace One Day we've just done a little bit to raise awareness of the amazing work of the FAO. We wish you the very best, Fleur.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Take care. Good luck.